down at the farm, and there's the 10 Rai, 4 acres of riverland as we call it, 7 Rai of my land and 7 Rai over there of the other land. Now this has been grazed. The standing water pretty much seems to have gone, but we're still squelching underfoot. Bit of standing water here and standing water here. It's still very wet. More squelching here, standing water. Probably about 200 mil of grass on here. Doesn't seem to be a lot of weed here at the moment. This was planted with Napier grass, but the brothers Grimm decided, rather than cutting and carrying to the cattle, it was much simpler to turn the cattle onto it, and the result was the pasture was ruined in about 2 weeks. That pasture was a third Mombasa Guinea grass, a third of Lucerne and a third of Napier. Again, beautiful it turned out to be. However, again they turned their cattle onto it and they ruined it. The cattle will, they trample it down. They need to be controlled with rotational grazing. Now back at this back section, this is elevated. This normally doesn't get flooded, but you can see the debris on the fence. It was flooded, well, it was about 5 meters over. But this back section, you can see there are clumps of the dastardly Mimosa pudica, the shy grass, at this top end. So plan A, to plant this with maize, or if you like, corn. And then after about 9 weeks before the corn's matured, when it's about 1.6 meters high, and it will get to 2 meters tall, to harvest it, shred it and silage it. And that silage will keep the cattle growing throughout the dry season, and that's what we want to do. We want to get the cattle in some decent condition. Now then, I have a surprise for you. I'm importing a proper farmer, a guy who knows what he's doing when it comes to growing crops, silaging, conditioning cattle and looking after them. Watch this space. All will become clear in the not too distant future. Kingfisher taking off down there. The Nam Lao is okay. Looking up at the debris here in the trees, you can see how high the water was. Very, very, very unusual indeed. Look at that tree over there. The water up there was probably 6 meters. Anyway, this is remnants of Napier grass, a bit that's survived. It's all going to get planted again. It floods down the bottom end, not every year. It did last year and the year before. However, this year was absolutely exceptional. Now next door in the cornfields, they've planted rubber trees, so they're looking forward to a long-term crop. Now rubber trees when you plant them, they take about 7 years before you get your first harvest. So before the trees get too tall, the Thais will plant corn stroke maize in between to get some sort of money off it. Well, it's a beautiful afternoon, that's for sure. Beautiful afternoon. And this field, I have to confess, it's a lot better than I thought it would be. So it's about 4 years since it had the Napier grass on it. It used to be, you see those palm oil trees, this used to be a palm oil grove for many years when I bought it. And since I bought it, it had 1 year of Napier, and then it's just had cattle grazing and defecating, shitting on it. So the soil, it's not had any pesticides on it in my experience, so the soil should be alive. Should be lots of widdly worms down there. So hopefully mid-August, or early August should we say, we will get more rain, but not the stuff that's going to raise the River Lau too much. So I'm going to the farm, and I will pick you up again when we get to the cowshed. Look here, this big chunk of rock. You know, it would never occur to my brothers-in-law to pick it up and throw it off the pasture. You know, I do despair at times. Now then, this first cow is Pimai, aren't you, Pimai? You are a good girl, aren't you? You've got a fantastic temperament. You have. And she's had a couple of calves, skin and bone. Now, the woman horns is a Thai cow. One licking her ears is Lucy. And Lucy has had a couple of calves. I don't know what this one's called, but she's a little beaut. I think she's in calf, looking at her stomach. And the red one, we bred her here at the farm. She's had a couple of calves. The new bull, I don't know him. Now then, looking at this one looks like a daughter of Scruffy. Looking at her, a lot of Charolais in that little beastie. Right. The rest of the beasties are down here. One very old cow at the top. Two or three heifers. There's about 16 or 17 now. Yeah, that's a daughter of Scruffy, for sure. Nice little heifer, that one. She's not much more than 18 months old. Now then, I've left the iron inside, and I've come to try it on for size. There's an old girl. This is 8 meters by 4 meters. We intend to turn this into a silage bay. And this central aisle is 2.5 meters wide. I designed it like this so I could drive a vehicle through it to get to the back. and decant food into the alley. Hello, beautiful. You're a pretty girl, aren't you? You're a pretty girl. Here you are. You're a pretty girl. You're a very pretty girl. Long-legged, straight back. Pee-my. She was the first heifer we bred on the farm, Pee-my. Beautiful temperament. Now then, just left in the bloody. So I want these pieces of steel to go along here like that, and they should be okay. My word, it's warm, and I've got to crack on with this. Well, apart from a quick look at the dam, now my professional farm manager, more like a partner than a manager really, but for the sake of ease we'll say manager at this point in time. Now we're going to grow a variety of fodder for the cattle. It'll be Napier grass, maize, lucerne, which you would know is probably alfalfa. A variety of different fodder, probably some moringa and different stuff. But one of the things he is keen on, and I'm not keen on it to be fair, is introducing into the dam water hyacinth. Now the reason for that is that water hyacinth, you take it out, you dry it, you put it through the shredder, and it makes very iron rich food for the cattle. It's extremely good for the cattle. In India and Africa they use it as a complete food source. We will be planting on the bank opposite some Mam Sam Phalang, a particular variety of it. The variety you can just eat without drying, and its technical name is cassava, and that will be planted right on that. That'll be cleared, planted with cassava, because cassava gives a huge tuber. It's what they make tapioca out of, and flour and different things. So all that will be cassava. Up beyond there will be corn, maize, and in the fields will be corn, maize. Pretty much on the level behind where the cattle are now, maybe just 7 meters up, no more than that, will be the feedlot where the cattle can go out during the day, exercise, mess about. That's the plant stand. This is taro, and my word, when the river came up, it was to the height of this fence, hence the bulk of my fish went off down the river. All those I put in from home, about 70 tilapia, gone. So once we know it's not going to flood again in a few weeks, I'll be restocking that with maybe 200 tilapia and 100 pacow, Amazon red bellies pacow, which the Thais called salamet, not to be confused with saparot, which is pineapple. So this used to return round here, and for whatever reason it got washed away, and they wouldn't think of reinstalling or reinstating it. But there you go. Right, all these fowl, no pun intended, all these Thai chickens are going, the whole lot. We will have chickens, but they'll be a decent breed, possibly a hybrid of Rhode Island Red, light Sussex if we can get them. We also may well have half a dozen pigs, so a lot of plans for the farm. You know, the brothers have had it now for 8 years and done, as we say in Wigan, bugger all with it. So they've had the chance. I'm not going to turf them off. They're going to be offered positions, and but once we've got these cattle in proper condition, looking like a real cow, then we're going to introduce another breed with them. The heifers will be impregnated with a really high quality breed that I researched 20 years ago, but my new farm manager partner has great experience with. So watch this space. We'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.